All right, guys. So now we're going to talk about going to this like underneath attack position from lasso spiders. Go up.
So we're in the lasso spider here like this, right? So now, of course, we have the classic attack series, leg past body, doing all this stuff. So now we have the foot and the bicep. I could either go back to that previous series, or I can start working underneath to attack. So when I want to work to underneath to attack, I want to switch this left spider hook in. Okay, this could come about a couple different ways. If his leg is straight like this, it's very easy to unlasso, go foot in the bicep, and I can start working underneath. If his elbow and knee is connected tight, I can still do it. I just create a little space. And even if he has my lapel here, even if he has this and his elbows tight, I can usually just go with my foot under here. Right? And again, I don't like this extended position because I can get thrown when I unlasso. Right? When I'm tight like this, I have a really quick time here. So if I unlasso, and I would hold the sleeve, I'm just showing it right now. But like when I do this, it's so he doesn't have the leverage to throw quick enough to prevent me from getting this foot in. So even if he's starting to throw now, I'm going to catch this foot in time to prevent the throw. That allows me to recenter, and now I can start getting this angle to work underneath, right? Another way you can get this is just whenever the guy tries to loop out a lot, he usually opens that elbow. So as he starts looping out, I go here and I get to double spider, and I start working underneath. In this next series, I could go underneath with either leg. It's personal preference. Usually I find it's good to get good at both of these just because different guys will be weak to different legs going under just because of how they stand. Okay, so once I work under, I went on the pants here, I'm gonna kick in between like this. And when I break, I wanna make sure I pull hard with the arm, right? A lot of people make the mistake of kicking in between, but not pulling with their arm, right? The grip break is mostly in your arm. So I wanna get a little tension and fast kick and break, right? Once I go underneath, there's a couple different ways the guy could stand. We're gonna assume he's kind of moderately close right now. First thing I do is I go underneath, I put my foot under his tailbone, I keep a strong foot position like this, right? And now I'm gonna lift with my foot as I pull both sleeves up overhead like this. Usually what this will do, it starts pulling him forward, he starts walking, and then I'm gonna bring my elbows in like this, and that prevents him from walking. From there, he'll flip. Yeah. Okay, here he's gonna flip over like this, right? And again, like how they land will vary a lot. I'll try to get on top. I may end up in a lot of different positions, right? So again, right, or in lasso spider, right, like this. So here I unlasso, I go in here. Center up, kick in between. Foot goes under the tailbone. Now I want to start lifting with my right foot like this, trying to, not even like necessarily extending, it's more bringing my knee in and kicking up. I'm trying to pull him up over my head, right? This leg here, I don't even extend it so much. It's like this, right? I want to bring my knees in, right? So I go up again. Right, so I'm like this, right? We're here. Spider comes in, we center up, kick in between. Foot goes under the butt. I pull my elbows up and start pulling the sleeves up as I lift and pull my knee in. That's going to make him move forward. As he starts walking, go back again. As he starts walking, it's hard for him to stop. I bring my elbows in, and that flips him up overhead. I come up on top and start working from there. We're going to build a lot of series off this. Again, just like any other position, when you're drilling it or demoing it, there's so many possible different responses the person can have. So we're just starting with one base response, and then we're going to start building off of all these other possible scenarios, okay? So one more time, we'll do it at a different angle. Right, like this, here, right? On lasso, go here. Maybe he tries to loop out of the lasso lunge. Yeah, here, spider hook, kick, foot under the butt. I start pulling up, clip in here, flips up overhead, and we go from there.
All right, guys, so let's look at another series we can start to work from here, right? So
the big decision I make when I kick in between the legs here is partly based off of how far back he is. So when I go for this overhead sweep, it's something you really have to feel out. A lot of times you can't get it. A lot of times you can. It just depends on how the guy moves. But you can't, it's like if you don't get it, it's not necessarily you did something wrong. It just depends on how the guy's body moves, right? Some really advanced guys, you hit with it really easy. And some less advanced guys, they just don't move right and you don't get it. But the big thing is there's really no risk going for it, so I always go for it. So if I go foot under the butt and I try to pull him forward and I just can't, whatever reason, get the sweep, then I'm gonna switch to this position here with like a modified X hook, one spider hook and the other sleeve like this. This is such a powerful position. It's so hard to get out of. I have overhead sweeps. I can take him backwards, I can set up ankle locks, I can switch up to this position here. There's so many different transitions I can go to from this, okay? So that's the position I want to get to, right? I'm not going to go into all the attacks on that yet. I'm going to do it in a second. I just want to talk about how that mixes in with going under, right? So again, we start lasso spider. This spider hook goes in. Maybe we'll switch this way a little bit. Right, I'm here like this. So I kick in between. If he's standing like where I would say moderate to close, then I go foot under butt. If he's standing really far back, like this, the foot under butt's not gonna work. My leg's too extended. In this case, I'll tap the floor really quick. I don't wanna leave the foot on the floor long. I just pull like this, and I immediately wanna bring my knee and elbow together tight to lock this position in here, right? I don't wanna let go to grab the ankle like this. I can do that later when I wanna finish an ankle lock, but right now, I have this sleeve, and this already traps his leg anyway, so I might as well keep the sleeve because there's less he can do with this. As soon as I let go to grab the ankle, now this hand's free to try to push this foot off and stuff and do other things, right? So if I keep those sleeves, it's hard for him to break grips. It's hard for him to do much of anything and have a great position that I can control and start attacking with, right? So go back up. Okay, so again, first situation, he's moderately close. I pull, I can't quite get the overhead sweep. I switch elbow knee tight. We'll do that on the other side. Right, so we're here. We go in, we break, I try to pull him overhead, I can't get the overhead sweep, no problem. Immediately elbow knee tight and bring this foot under. Do not go on the hip. It's not terrible, but you just don't have as many sweep options and threats, right? So we want to go elbow knee tight because this traps his leg in, and this right foot comes into this modified X hook position here, right? Like this. So from here, this is where I can start controlling all these different attacks, okay? The other scenario was we're here, we loop the foot in, we kick in between, now he's really far back, right? I'm gonna tap the floor and try to pull overhead really hard. I pull the elbows up and I drive like this. Often that'll drive me forward. Right there, I'm gonna try to catch the elbow and knee, again to trap this in, and really quick this foot comes under. I don't wanna be lazy with this leg, because if he starts to sit down here, especially if he's a big dude, right, then he gets really heavy here and it's difficult, right? So go back up. So as fast as I can, when I pull under, I wanna go here and catch this foot under. Now if he tries to start sitting down here, then it's really easy to start going for overhead sweeps and set up different attacks.
All right, so let's look at another complication that'll come up when you're trying to work underneath the person and they're trying to step over your leg a lot. So go up.
So in this case, let's do it. So we're assuming I'm going underneath with my right leg. So we started in the lasso spider position, right? We unlasso, we go here, I kick in between. So either when I kick in between or when he's stepping back, this is a common situation. We'll just assume the guy's moderately close first, like this. So it'd be more smooth. Yeah. Okay, so we're like this, right? So I'm here. So as I kick in between, what happens sometimes is the guy will try to step over my leg, right? So I'm trying to lift here, and as soon as I kick in between, he's stepping over, so step over. So almost like side. Now he probably won't pass with this, but I would kind of lose the sweep and I might have to recenter, right? And it's a common way guys will try to defend. They'll also step over the other way sometimes, like that way, and then actually I'm a little bit at risk of a throw. I know this is coming. So often what I try to do is when I kick in between and I feel them stepping over, I try to flick this leg up. And then I'm gonna turn and catch his ankle with my wrist here, and I go like this, and you create this strong overhead sweep, right? Again, this one,
It's not like something you can just drill like you're gonna hit it. You really gotta feel it out. It's like trying to do a judo foot sweep in slow motion. You really have to catch it and time it with them, right? So you wanna, ideally, you want to like, as they're going, start stepping, you wanna flick this leg up. And guys will step differently. Some guys bring their knee tight, some guys like step back wide, like, yeah, like that, right? And again, when I feel that coming, I just block this ankle, slowly lift your foot up again, yeah. And they start to get off balance that way. And what they wanna do is like hop their foot that way to catch balance, but because my wrist is there, it flips them overhead, right? And again, it's really hard to show you guys exactly how that's gonna look when you do it, because people will do it so differently. Some people trip and then they flip way overhead. Some people dive to the other side. Some people like land on their shoulder and hurt themselves because they just move bizarre. You can't really control it, right? So we're here like this. Now he's gonna step the other leg, right? Again, I lift, and on this side, I extend my left spider hook. We'll turn this way. Right? So this one, I kick in between, he starts to step that way. I lift here, that creates an off balance there, and this left spider hook extending trips him out and flips him up that way, right? Just go back. We break in between, he starts to step out that way, flick, boom, and up overhead that way, right? Again, it's just a concept. Often what can happen too
is you may try one of these and you don't quite get it, so we'll have you step that way, right? And you don't quite get it, but then you lock in this elbow knee tight position again, and now we're under attacking again, right? So you don't have to get the sweep with it, right? You can just do your best to get it. If you miss it, you work underneath. In worst case, you try, he steps over, right? Boom, you miss it, and he comes around. Okay, boom, you come back, right? And then you try again. Boom, okay, now I got the position this time, and now I can start trying other attacks.
All right, guys, a little extra detail on this last one is
when the guy's standing back, it's a little bit more complicated. So here, sometimes when you break here and you tap the floor, they have a bit more time to try to step over your leg because you have to put your foot on the floor, right? So I always, when I break, I leave the leg high first so that if they try to step now, I'm already on it and that's kind of starting to pull me under like that. But sometimes in the process, like when they're far back, when you tap the floor, they'll try to step over as you're dragging them forward. And that's a little bit easier for them to step over, but at the same time, there's so much more force, you often get the sweep too. So when I drag, you'll step over. As I drag, right? You'll end up hitting the flick like that, right?
so it's like you kind of get in the center, you break in between, you tap the floor, and as that momentum is pulling forward, he tries to fast jump it, and you try to flick the leg. And again, this is akin more like the judo or something. It's not like a slow, methodical technique. It's like you're trying to get the timing right. Sometimes you miss it, sometimes you hit it. If you see like Leandro fight like Michael Lange or Felipe Andrew, like Leandro's one of the best in the world at passing spider, probably the best. And you see them often get into this battle where like Felipe Andrew's trying to flick the leg and like Leandro gets like flipped overhead but kind of saves the sweep, and it's like that, right? But if you get really good at this, man, you'll throw people flying all the time. And even if you don't get the sweep, you work underneath to that modified X position, and then that we're gonna start building off of that series now, right?
So again, we're here, I break like this, right? He's here, boom, I tap, right? I'm trying to get him here, he goes the other way, right? I'm trying to flick here, and then it's just that little like cat and mouse game with that leg working, right? And at any point, again, we'll get more into this in the end, but like it's double sleeve is the whole position. So you don't have to get stuck in lasso spider. You can be playing here trying to do this stuff. Okay, I can't quite get it. I can break past the body, break here, and now I'm going back into this classic position. I can go to close guard if he leaves it open. I'm adapting to what he's giving me, right? Now his elbow and knee is tight. I'm back on the hip, trying to take him backwards, trying to take him overhead, lasso spider, trying to work under, here, shooting the triangle. You start mixing it all together. That's how I want you guys to use the instructional set. It's just kind of learning like all these different possible combinations of things you can do. And then you spend a ton of time specific sparring in the position, learning how these things can connect and play with the ideas. All right, guys, so now let's look a little bit more in depth on the position once you're underneath. Go up. Okay, so once we're here, we work underneath. Let's turn it over here. Once we're underneath a little bit here like this, right? And I've gotten this underneath position with the hook here, there's two main attacks I like to sequence together, okay? So usually they'll have this pant like here. The first thing I do is I keep my elbow and knee tight, right? I keep this left knee tight, is I want to draw my left heel in and start driving my heel up, okay? Don't confuse this with extending the spider hook. There's a big difference between extending a hook and bringing your knee in and driving your heel up. It's more like you're stretching your hamstring than you are pressing. That's a big difference because when you do this knee tight and drive up with your heel, and I even bend my foot back and drive with the heel, it creates a overhead off balance motion, right? So come here. So what that looks like when I'm here, right? I'm like this, I pull this in and I drive up with that heel. You see how he stepped forward there, right? If I'm like this and I try to lift with my foot now, nothing's gonna happen. But if I drive with this, especially hold the pants because they'll usually hold the pants, right? I'll drive there. Now when I start lifting with this right foot, it creates awkward off balance overhead, right? So go back up. Right here, right? So I'm like this, right? I get in here, I pull in, I start lifting here, and then it just depends. I have to feel his weight. I could take him out that way sometimes. Sometimes if I'm here, I feel like I can lift with my right foot, I can lift with my shin under his hamstring. I can try to take his body weight up more over this way. It just depends on where he's at. There he falls out that way, come back. Right, we're here, right? I go this way. Maybe he has his body weight more to this side a little bit, and then it ends up going more overhead that way, right? And again, that's one of those things where you're gonna have to be in the position and feel it out. It really depends on how the guy moves. You can't just be like, I wanna take him to the left, so I'm gonna take him to the left. If you wanna take him that way and he doesn't wanna go that way, you can't do it, right? So go back up. So The other technique that pairs perfectly with this, right, over here, is trying to take them overhead and I can't quite get it, I'm gonna switch to taking them backwards, right? So in this case, what that looks like is I start trying to take overhead and then you kind of feel this resistance back. Like you want to take them forward and they're just kind of going back. So when I feel that, when I switch on my side, they're gonna end up stepping back like that, okay? Now there's two different ways to finish this. If I feel they're really out of balance, I can just use this foot almost like a De La Riva hook by kicking back. Just tuck this arm and go here, and they'll fall over. Of course, we can go into ankle locks really easily from this series. I'm going to get into that in a minute, right? But otherwise, it's very easy. Just leave the spider hook in, come up on my knee, and come up on top, right? Okay. So again, we're here. We work underneath. Like this, I try to go overhead, I can't quite get overhead, I turn them on the side. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to go overhead. When I can't get it, I'm gonna kind of press down on this bicep and lift my hip and turn on my side. When I do that motion, it actually kind of makes them step back and projects me on my side, right? So I'm here, I can't get it, I turn on my side. First one I can try to kick with this. If I can't do that, one of my favorites is I just take this right foot, turn this way just a little bit, right there. I take this right foot and I kick this leg out while I tuck this. And that'll drop them really easy. Okay, I hit this one all the time, right? Back up. We're here, you're there, try to go overhead, can't quite get it, get the off balance, and I kick out back that way. And again, it's very easy to switch this into ankle locks, right? Back up. All right, here, I'll go with the other leg this time. So I kick them, try to go this way, can't quite get it. Go here, try to kick overhead. I can't quite get him, so I turn on my side. I want to make sure I keep this left elbow tight behind his calf when I'm holding, right? Because if I'm loose, he's going to step this out, and I'm going to lose the sweep, right? But that's a really big thing in this position in general, staying tight here. So now here I go here. I can kick back with this one. If I can't get that, kick that one out. There. And I'm kicking it out, I'm not sweeping it. Back up. Make sure when you're here, the sweep comes, I said the like wide a bit. Yeah. The sweep comes by kicking outward, right? I see that. It comes from kicking outward, not by chopping, right? So what I'm doing is I'm extending this spider hook. At the same time, I kick this leg out, and then they drop. Spider hook in, and we come up on top. All right, guys, so we're gonna show another attack when I go underneath from the lasso spider, this time when the guy postures, and then also this will start tying into the ankle lock attack series, right? So go up. So this is a position I like to use for the ankle lock. This one does require a little bit of mobility, so you may or may not be able to do it, but we go underneath, we work underneath here, and we get this inside position here. So turn this way a little bit. So sometimes when I'm here, and the guy postures really hard, posture up a bunch, like this, it's hard to take him forward or backwards, right? Easy solution is grab the ankle and try to sweep there, but this is a position I like to go for, is where I go in between with this leg, and now I'm gonna go with both feet in as a modified hook, right? So again, deadlift. So the guy deadlifts really hard here, right? All the way up, yeah. Because I go through with this right leg, so this one was a spider. I go through with it, I kick through. If I need to, I can kind of jump myself in more, and I bring this foot in here. This is a great position. From here, if I have both sleeves, it's probably the worst overhead sweep in jiu-jitsu. They can't post their hand there, and there's usually just like face plant hard, right? Otherwise, you can just take them straight back like this, okay? So it's a great position for sweeping. It's also great for ankle locking. One of the things I love about this for the ankle lock, and I'll go back to the initial sweep in a minute, is when I'm doing the ankle lock, scoot this way, we're gonna go a little into the mechanics of it. There's a lot of different variations on it, and again, I'm not gonna go super in depth on it. I just need to give you just enough context so that you can work this. What I like to focus on is not allowing this guy's foot to turn inward. If you can go really far inward with the foot, it's really hard to get the ankle lock, right? To do this ankle lock, I wanna control his foot. I'm not trying to attack the Achilles tendon. I'm trying to like break the foot off of the leg, right? So there's 2 or 3 different ways to do this. Either I'm gonna break it towards the inside, so I'm taking the foot and folding it out this way. I'm gonna go straight back, which hits the top, or I'm gonna go inside, which is gonna hit on the outside, right? So for me, what I like to focus on is I actually like to pin their heel right here on my like chest rib cage, and I go really deep with my elbow, like this. Right? And I lock this heel on my chest and their foot here. At this position here, it's hard for him to turn his foot inward because his foot is blocked by like my rib cage chest here, like this. So it's really hard to rotate that foot inward. It's a very strong position. Now this, I don't want any space here. I don't want any daylight between his foot and the crook of my elbow. So I go really, really deep here, and I'm gonna grab high on my lapel at first. As I start to apply force, I let my grip lower so my back can get into it. And the first pressure I really like to try to hit is more out this way. So it's hitting on the inside of the foot here, and it's even basically a borderline legal heel hook. It will hit the knee really hard. A lot of times when you go for the ankle lock, people will feel, people will feel like if they can start to stand up, they're gonna get out of this. But if you have this one, you can see the heel here. This angle, as I go here, it hits the inside of the knee. And this is IBJJF legal. I'm attacking the foot. It's just that it's so shallow like this that as he starts to stand up, starts standing all the way up here, if I hit this here, he's gonna have to either scream, which is common the case, or he'll fall to his butt and try to roll over that way really hard to fall. Yeah, he'll start going this way. And again, I just come up here and I can finish, right? As long as you have this tight grip, you're gonna figure it out. There's a lot of different finish mechanics. I could go here, I could throw this heel over the hip and drive up there. A lot of different ways. Again, I'm not gonna go super in depth, but understanding getting the good lock on the foot is the key for this, right? So go back. One more time, we'll look at the foot positioning again. So sit down on your butt, and like this, right? So again, right, we're here, I go deep on this and I wanna choke back, right? I like to let the heel out just a little bit. If I don't let it out and it's just like really shallow, you can still have a very tight ankle lock, but on this one, I'm gonna go more towards the outside. So I'm breaking it like a toe hold more, okay? So there's a lot of different variations. I really like this one where I get the heel on the chest, like that. Turn this way a little bit so you can see. Okay. I like this one where I let the heel out just a little bit, not too much. Elbow deep, grab high here. I have this modified X hook under, good knee pressure. I start to go back and I just rotate out that way and I get that really strong inside pressure on the foot. Okay? So going back up to standing. What I like about this is one of the problems if I'm just going for the ankle lock from here is that as guys, I can either be like this, let's Mikey does it that way a lot, or I can be under here, is as guys start to know what you're doing, they're gonna start turning their foot inward before you can choke back on the foot, right? So when you're playing this spider position, and you can get underneath here, go ahead and posture up again, right? And however I get this inside foot position, he cannot defend both of these at the same time. So go ahead and sit in the butt. It's an easy way to demo it. So we're here, scoot back this way, yeah. If I have both of these in at the same time, he can't defend both. If he turns this foot really far inward, this one is gonna be exposed for the heel position. If he turns this one really far inward, right? This one is gonna be exposed for the heel position. Especially when he's in the process of falling over from when he's on top, it's way easier to get a tight angle on the ankle lock, right? Because you have him elevated and his hands are more active catching his balance and falling than blocking the ankle lock, right? So go back up. So what I'll do sometimes here is I get underneath here like this, right? I work underneath. If he postures up, I just go through to here. Otherwise, I can still just go through it anyway. And now I can either take him overhead or straight back. As he starts falling, I'm already choking up on the grip. I've already got this tight foot position in, and then now I'm going there to finish. I could go across with this leg to finish. I could put this foot on the hip to finish. As long as you're tight on this, he's gonna tap, right? Again, this is something that, go back up. If I'm doing any of these underneath spider sweeps, it's just really easy to add these series in. If I'm on this spider hook here and I start to go this way, and then he back way, and he starts to fall back like this, as he's dropping, I'm already shifting that out to catch that angle. See, I already caught it deep there. As he's falling midair, I'm gonna be switching for it. Once I catch it, now I can go here, here, and I start getting the force. If he tries to roll over that way or belly down on it, is like I'm being nice because this is gonna hurt him, but good, roll over. Here, I just follow this up right there. It's so powerful, right? So anytime you're working these underneath positions with the spider, there's so many ankle lock opportunities that open up. So just try to focus on catching that foot position to get the outside break here, right here, or in the knee. Go back up. And then if you just want to take the sweep, when you go under from the deadlift here like this, I can just kick in between, go here, overhead, or take him backwards just by pressuring with the feet. And then, of course, the easy option, going back to the beginning, is if you just feel like that's too hard, deadlift really hard up here, I can always let go and just grab both ankles, knock him down, and then I can just come up on top here, or try to chase an ankle lock if you want.